When we begin to contemplate the immensity of the observable universe, we immediately find ourselves confronting a scale so vast that it resists all ordinary human imagination. We can picture a city, a nation, even the Earth as a whole, but when we attempt to grasp the scope of 2 trillion galaxies spread across a cosmic sphere nearly 93 billion light years in diameter, the mind falters. It is not that we lack intelligence, it is that we evolved on a planet under a sky where our survival was linked to noticing the immediate: food, shelter, the movement of animals, the change of seasons. To suddenly shift from thinking about rivers and mountains to contemplating distances measured in light years requires not only science but also poetry, because the immensity of the universe is not just a number to be calculated, it is an experience to be felt deep within us. Consider what it means to speak of a light year. Light moves at nearly 300 kilometers per second, so fast that in a single second it can circle our Earth more than 7 times. In 1 year it travels nearly 10 trillion kilometers. And yet, when we look up at the night sky, many of the stars shining faintly in the darkness are dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of light years away. Their glow has taken lifetimes to arrive here, crossing gulfs of empty space before finally reaching our eyes. Now scale that thought upward. The distance across our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is about 100,000 light years. If you could ride a beam of light from one end to the other, it would take you 100,000 years to finish the journey. Imagine entire civilizations rising and falling, histories unfolding, while your vessel of light continues across the same galaxy. And this is only one galaxy. Scientists estimate that in the observable universe there are more than 2 trillion galaxies, each of them as vast or vaster than the Milky Way. When you pause and try to gather this into the human imagination, it is almost crushing in its magnitude. The observable universe itself is not the entire universe, it is only the portion we can see, limited by the finite speed of light and the age of the cosmos. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old, but because space itself has been expanding, the edge of our observable sphere is now about 46.5 billion light years away in every direction, giving us that total span of 93 billion light years across. Picture standing at the center of this unimaginable globe with galaxies smeared across the darkness in every direction, each one a cluster of billions upon billions of stars. That is what we mean when we speak of immensity. And yet the numbers alone are sterile until we attempt to breathe life into them with metaphor. Imagine flying outward from Earth. At first, you pass the moon just 1 light second away. Then Mars, minutes of light travel further out. Soon you cross the outer planets, hours away in light speed terms. Eventually, you leave the solar system, and after years you pass through the nearest stars. But as you continue, you realize that even after millennia, you have crossed only a corner of the Milky Way. You could continue flying for hundreds of thousands of years and still not reach the galactic rim. And once you did, the neighboring galaxies would still lie millions of light years away. The Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large neighbor, is 2.5 million light years distant. To reach it would take 2.5 million years at the speed of light. And remember, this is just the closest major galaxy. There are billions more, each farther than the last, each a silent island in a sea of darkness. The sheer immensity reveals a profound truth. The universe is structured in layers of scale that humble our every instinct about size. A human being feels large compared to an insect, small compared to a mountain, almost vanishing compared to the Earth. Yet the Earth itself is a mere speck compared to the Sun. The Sun is a modest star, and yet it is so massive that it could contain more than 1 million Earths inside it. But even the Sun is a minor light compared to giants like Betelgeuse or VY Canis Majoris, stars so large that if placed at the center of our solar system, their surfaces would engulf the orbit of Jupiter. And stars themselves are only one layer in a galaxy of hundreds of billions. Then take galaxies as units. Some, like the Milky Way or Andromeda, are majestic spirals, while others, like giant ellipticals, contain trillions of stars dwarfing ours entirely. Multiply this by 2 trillion, and you begin to touch the immensity. Each step upward on this ladder of scale explodes the imagination again and again. This immensity is not an abstraction locked away in distant corners of space, it is woven into the fabric of reality itself. The light that streams into our telescopes carries with it not just images of faraway galaxies but time capsules of history. When astronomers observe the faint red glows of galaxies billions of light years away, they are not seeing them as they are now, but as they were billions of years ago. The deeper we peer into the cosmos, the further back in time we go. Some of the faint smudges recorded by the Hubble Space Telescope are galaxies whose light has traveled nearly the full age of the universe to reach us. Thus, immensity is also about time. To look into the universe is to look into the deep past, to witness cosmic dawns and the slow unfolding of creation itself. For many, this scale evokes feelings of smallness, even insignificance. After all, what is one human life compared to 93 billion light years? What is our planet compared to 2 trillion galaxies? And yet, there is another way to look at it. To even conceive of immensity, to measure it, to build instruments capable of capturing photons that have traveled for eons, requires a mind that has itself emerged from this universe. We are part of the immensity we behold. The atoms in our bodies are recycled stardust, born in furnaces of stars long extinguished, spread across interstellar space, then gathered again to form worlds, oceans, and finally beings who could stand beneath the night sky and ask, how big is it? The immensity of the universe is not something separate from us. It is something of which we are an expression. When we attempt to picture 2 trillion galaxies, we often draw diagrams, maps of dots scattered across a dark canvas, each dot representing a cluster of galaxies. But those diagrams, while useful, are pale compared to the lived reality of scale. If you could visit each galaxy for only 1 second, your journey would take more than 60,000 years. If you spent just 1 second at each star in a single galaxy, your life would not suffice to even scratch the surface. This means that most of the universe will remain forever unseen, unvisited, unexplored by us. The immensity is not simply about how much there is, but about how much lies forever beyond our reach. And paradoxically, it is this inaccessibility that makes it all the more awe-inspiring. At the edge of the observable universe, the galaxies are not even recognizable in the ordinary sense. They appear stretched, distorted by the expansion of space, faint relics from an epoch when stars were just beginning to ignite. Beyond that edge there may be more galaxies, perhaps an infinite number, but their light will never reach us. This boundary is not physical but causal, the very horizon of our ability to know. It is humbling to realize that even if we possessed ships that could travel at the speed of light, even if we lived for billions of years, much of the universe would remain forever beyond us. The immensity is not just vast, it is fundamentally unreachable, and yet what we can see is already enough to stagger the heart. Telescopes like Hubble and now the James Webb Space Telescope reveal galaxies in their thousands, painted across the deep field images like grains of sand on an infinite beach. To gaze at such an image is to realize that every patch of sky, no matter how small, contains thousands of galaxies. The immensity is not out there in some special direction. It is everywhere, in every corner, in every direction we look. Lift your eyes to the night sky, pick any point at random, and you are looking at a doorway to millions of galaxies. The entire vault of the heavens is saturated with immensity. There is also a kind of spiritual resonance to this immensity. It teaches humility, but also wonder. It reminds us that our troubles, our conflicts, our borders, our fleeting lifetimes are so very small compared to the great cosmic stage. And yet it also elevates us, because here we are, fragile beings of dust and water, daring to contemplate all of it. No other species on Earth has ever done so. Perhaps in the immensity of 2 trillion galaxies, other intelligences exist, also wondering at their place. But whether we are alone or one of many, the act of contemplating the immensity is itself a kind of communion with the universe. Ultimately, the immensity of the observable universe is not something that can ever be fully grasped. It is something to stand before, like an ocean without shore, a mountain without summit. We approach it with equations, telescopes, and metaphors, but each attempt only reveals more layers of grandeur, and perhaps that is as it should be. Perhaps the immensity is not meant to be conquered by thought, but to keep us forever searching, forever curious, forever reaching beyond ourselves. It is the immensity that pulls our eyes upward, that drives our rockets into the sky, that whispers to us that there is always more beyond the horizon. To fly through every galaxy in the observable universe is impossible, yet to imagine it is to glimpse the immensity itself. It is to feel both small and infinite at once, to recognize our fleeting lives yet also our connection to the eternal. It is to know that while we are but a single note in a cosmic symphony, the symphony would be incomplete without that note. The immensity of the universe is overwhelming, but it is also home. To speak of galaxies is to speak of cosmic art. These immense structures, vast beyond comprehension, are not merely containers of stars, but living expressions of beauty that stretch across millions of light years. When we gaze at them through telescopes, whether in sharp spirals, elongated ellipticals, or chaotic irregulars, we are witnessing nature's grandest canvases, each brushstroke painted not in oils or pigments, but in stars, nebulae, and glowing dust. Galaxies are not just scientific objects to be measured, they are experiences to behold, symbols of both elegance and power, testaments to the creative forces of the universe. Their beauty lies not only in their forms, but also in the stories they tell, the mysteries they hold, and the feelings they inspire when human eyes turn toward them in wonder. Imagine for a moment flying across the Milky Way, our home galaxy. From Earth, we see it only as a faint river of light across the night sky, but in truth, it is a magnificent barred spiral stretching 100,000 light years across, containing some 400 billion stars. If you could step outside the galaxy and look back, you would see sweeping spiral arms curving like the graceful lines of a dancer's movements, glowing with the blue of young stars, punctuated by the pink clouds of nebulae where new suns are being born. These arms wrap around a luminous central bulge, where ancient stars burn steadily in golden light. A halo of invisible dark matter surrounds the whole, giving it structure, holding it together in an unseen embrace. To look upon the Milky Way from afar would be to see something as delicate as lace and as powerful as eternity. Yet the Milky Way is only one among trillions. Consider Andromeda, our neighboring giant, some 5 million light years away. Larger and more massive than the Milky Way, Andromeda reveals itself as a grand spiral with expansive arms reaching outward, filled with billions upon billions of suns. Photographs of Andromeda often inspire awe, not just because of its size, but because of its clarity. It is the most distant object visible to the naked human eye. When you step outside on a clear, dark night, you can look toward Andromeda and see light that has been traveling since before humanity even existed. The beauty of such a galaxy lies not only in its shimmering stars, but also in the way it connects us to cosmic history, allowing us to touch something ancient and timeless. Spiral galaxies like the Milky Way and Andromeda are often celebrated for their elegance. Their winding arms are sculpted by waves of density, regions where stars cluster and ignite. Within those arms lie brilliant blue-white stars, dazzling in their youth, burning hot and short-lived. Between them, glowing gas clouds swirl in shades of pink and red, marking star nurseries where gravity pulls hydrogen together into the seeds of new suns. Dark dust lanes weave through the spirals like shadows on a painting, contrasting with the brilliance of surrounding light. It is a mixture of glow and obscurity, birth and death, clarity and mystery woven together into breathtaking harmony. Every spiral galaxy is a symphony of light and shadow, and each is unique in its pattern, some with tightly wound arms, others loosely stretching outward like ribbons in the wind. But spirals are not the only forms of beauty. Elliptical galaxies, vast and ancient, are different in their grandeur. Unlike the ordered spirals, they appear as glowing ovals of light, sometimes stretching hundreds of thousands of light years across. Within them, stars are older, more yellow and red, their youthful blue brethren long since extinguished. Ellipticals often form when galaxies collide, merging into enormous, luminous clouds of stars bound together by gravity. There is a serene, almost solemn beauty in their simplicity. They do not dazzle with fireworks of star birth, but glow with the quiet radiance of age, like embers from a long, burning fire. When astronomers look upon giant ellipticals like Messier 87, they see not only a city of stars but also the extraordinary presence of supermassive black holes, titans millions or billions of times the mass of the Sun, lurking at their cores. From these centers, jets of energy sometimes blast outward, spanning thousands of light years, creating luminous streams visible across the cosmos. There is an austere majesty to these galaxies, a kind of cosmic cathedral where age and power reside in silence. Irregular galaxies, on the other hand, break all patterns. They do not conform to the graceful spirals or the smooth ellipses. Instead, they appear scattered, chaotic, almost accidental, as though nature painted outside the lines. Yet within this chaos lies vitality. Irregulars often teem with active star formation, glowing with the colors of creation. The large and small Magellanic Clouds, two irregular companions to the Milky Way, are visible in the southern skies, appearing like delicate smudges to the unaided eye. These galaxies, though smaller than spirals, burn with an energy of their own, harboring supernova remnants, star clusters, and mysteries of stellar evolution. Their irregularity is their charm. They remind us that beauty is not only in symmetry but also in unpredictability, in the wild and the untamed. Some galaxies exist in clusters, bound together in groups of hundreds or even thousands. When observed, these clusters are like cosmic cities, their members scattered across the black canvas, each glowing with its own light, yet bound in a silent gravitational dance. The Coma cluster, for example, contains thousands of galaxies, each one home to billions of stars, and the view of such a cluster reveals layers upon layers of light, as though the universe itself had constructed a grand mosaic. To witness a galaxy cluster is to witness abundance on a scale that defies belief, beauty amplified not by the form of one galaxy, but by the multiplicity of many, like a chorus of voices rising together into a single, overwhelming song. There are also galaxies shaped by collisions and mergers, those extraordinary encounters when one galaxy drifts into another and gravity reshapes them both. The antennae galaxies are among the most famous examples, two spirals colliding, their arms stretched and distorted into long arcs that resemble insect antennae. In their centers, bursts of star formation explode like fireworks as the gases of the galaxies compress and ignite. Collisions are violent and transformative, but in them lies an unexpected beauty, the beauty of creation born from destruction, of new stars rising from chaos. These galactic interactions remind us that the universe is dynamic, that its artistry is not static but constantly reshaping itself, painting new images across the cosmic canvas. Beyond visible light, galaxies reveal even more splendor. Viewed in infrared, their dust glows warmly, outlining hidden structures. In X-rays, we see the blazing remnants of supernova and the hot gas that suffuses clusters. In radio waves, we detect jets and filaments stretching farther than visible eyes can see. Each wavelength uncovers a new layer of beauty, like lifting veils from a hidden masterpiece. The universe does not present itself in a single color palette. It offers us many, each one expanding our vision, each one reminding us that reality is richer than we first imagined. The beauty of galaxies is not confined to their appearance, but extends to their symbolism. To see them is to feel both awe and connection. They remind us that creation is vast, abundant, and ongoing. They remind us that even in the emptiness of space, there is structure, form, and elegance. They remind us that the same processes shaping stars and galaxies also gave rise to the matter in our own bodies. When you look at the Milky Way stretched across the night, or at the photograph of a distant spiral captured by a telescope, you are not just looking at something out there. You are looking at a part of your own story, a reflection of the same cosmic forces that made you possible. The beauty of galaxies is the beauty of belonging. In art galleries across Earth, we marvel at paintings that capture light, color, and motion. Yet no painting, however masterful, can match the living artistry of galaxies. They are canvases millions of light, years wide, lit not by paint but by stars themselves. They are sculptures molded not by hands but by gravity. They are performances choreographed not by human intention, but by the laws of physics, unfolding over billions of years in a dance of elegance and inevitability. And we, small beings on a small world, are privileged to bear witness, to look out into the night and see these cosmic masterpieces hanging in the infinite gallery of the sky. To fly through galaxies, to pass through their arms and halos, would be to pass through corridors of beauty. It would be to see the birthplaces of stars glowing in soft pinks, the death shrouds of supernova expanding in radiant blues, the cold rivers of dust weaving like shadows, and the luminous centers burning like eternal flames. It would be to watch order dissolve into chaos and chaos give birth to new order again and again across billions of years. It would be to learn that beauty is not fixed but evolving, not a single shape but an endless diversity. In the end, the unique beauty of galaxies lies not only in what they look like, but in what they make us feel. They stir awe, humility, wonder, and longing. They expand our sense of time and place, showing us that the universe is larger, older, and more intricate than we could have ever dreamed. They awaken in us the knowledge that beauty is not just a human creation, but a universal phenomenon woven into the very structure of existence. Galaxies are cosmic poems written in light, and every time we gaze upon them, we read a line of that eternal verse. When we lift our eyes to the night sky, we are not simply gazing outward into a distant universe, we are also gazing inward into our own origins. The stars above us, scattered like jewels across the velvet darkness, are not just ornaments of the night. They are the forges that shaped the very matter of our bodies. The connection between humanity and the cosmos is not a poetic fancy but a literal truth, rooted in the chemistry of creation and the physics of stars. Every atom within us tells a story, and that story begins not on Earth, but in galaxies, in stars, in the very explosions that lit the universe long before life stirred on this planet. To understand the cosmic connection to humanity is to understand that we are not observers standing apart from the universe, but participants within it, made of the same substance, governed by the same laws, and destined to remain forever intertwined with its unfolding drama. At the heart of this connection lies the life cycle of stars. In the earliest days of the universe, there was only hydrogen, helium, and trace amounts of lithium, simple, light elements that emerged from the Big Bang. The universe was, in its youth, a place of simplicity, almost barren in its composition. It lacked the complexity needed to form worlds like ours, to give rise to life, or to create the diversity of matter we see today. It was only when the first stars were born that the alchemy of creation truly began. Stars are nuclear furnaces, crushing atoms together under immense pressure and heat, fusing hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, silicon, and eventually iron. Each element in the periodic table heavier than hydrogen and helium was forged in the heart of a star. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, the carbon that forms the backbone of your DNA, all of it was born inside a star that lived and died billions of years ago. When those ancient stars reached the ends of their lives, they did not quietly fade. Many exploded as supernova, scattering their enriched material into the cosmos. In those colossal blasts, even heavier elements were formed: gold, silver, urania, exotic matter created in moments of unimaginable violence. These explosions seeded galaxies with the raw material for planets, oceans, and eventually living beings. Clouds of gas and dust, enriched by countless generations of stars, gathered under gravity to form new stars and worlds. Our solar system is one such creation, born from the ashes of stars long gone. To say that we are stardust is not a metaphor, it is a scientific fact. Every breath you take is filled with atoms that once burned in stellar hearts. Every cell in your body carries within it the heritage of galaxies. This knowledge transforms how we see ourselves. We often think of humanity as small, insignificant against the backdrop of a vast universe, and in terms of scale, we are small indeed, fragile creatures on a pale blue dot, orbiting a modest star in an ordinary spiral galaxy. Yet the very fact that we are composed of star-forged matter means that the universe has, in a sense, come alive through us. The atoms that once drifted through space in silence have now assembled into beings capable of thought, wonder, and love. The universe has given birth to eyes that can gaze upon it, minds that can comprehend it, and hearts that can feel awe in its presence. The connection is not just material, but also experiential. We are the cosmos made conscious of itself. This connection deepens when we consider that the processes unfolding in galaxies are not separate from our daily lives. Every beat of your heart depends on iron, rich hemoglobin transporting oxygen through your blood, a gift from ancient stars. The strength of your bones comes from calcium, also forged in stellar cores. The very energy that fuels your body comes from chemical reactions driven by oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen, all tied to stellar creation. Even the gold in a wedding ring, cherished as a symbol of love, was born in the cataclysmic merger of neutron stars, events so powerful they shake the fabric of spacetime itself. When you wear that ring, you are wearing a fragment of cosmic history billions of years in the making. We do not simply live in the universe lives in us. The connection is also visible in time. Look at the light of a distant star, and you are looking into the past. Some of the starlight reaching your eyes tonight left its source before human civilization began, before Earth's continents took their current shape, before even life as we know it existed. When you see a galaxy millions of light years away, you are witnessing it as it was millions of years ago. In this way, our gaze is always touching history. We are linked not only through matter but through the flow of time itself, tied to distant epochs by the simple act of looking. The photons that touch your eyes tonight have traveled across gulfs of emptiness for unimaginable spans of time, only to complete their journey in you. In that sense, you are the final chapter of their story. Consider also the universality of physical laws. The same equations that describe the movement of galaxies govern the blood flowing through your veins. The same chemistry that ignites a star fuels the metabolism of your cells. Gravity that binds galaxies into clusters also holds you to the Earth. The same quantum mechanics that explain how electrons move in atoms also govern the nuclear reactions in stars. We are not separated from the cosmos by different rules. We are integrated into it by the very same laws. To study astronomy is to study yourself in another form. To study biology is to see the echoes of cosmic processes made flesh. For millennia, humanity has intuited this connection in myth and story. Ancient cultures saw the stars as ancestors, gods, or guiding spirits. They traced patterns in constellations, weaving tales of creation, destiny, and belonging. Though their understanding was not scientific, it revealed a profound truth. Humans have always felt that the night sky is not alien but intimate. Today, science confirms what myth once suggested. We are kin to the stars, children of galaxies, participants in a drama billions of years old. The poetry was not wrong. It was simply waiting for physics to reveal its deeper meaning. This cosmic connection also has profound implications for how we see one another. If every person on Earth is made of stardust, then every person carries the same cosmic heritage. The atoms in your body and the atoms in mine were both born in stars. The particles that make you unique once floated in galaxies, perhaps in entirely different corners of the universe, before finding their way here. In that sense, we are not only related to one another by biology, but by the shared ancestry of the cosmos itself. Borders, races, divisions, these fade when we remember that we are all sculpted from the same galactic clay. To harm another is to forget that they are woven from the same stellar threads as you. To love another is to recognize your shared cosmic story. The connection even extends to the future. Just as stars of the past created us, the stars of today are shaping what will come. The sun, steady and bright, continues to sustain life on Earth. Other stars are forming new systems where perhaps life will someday emerge. In some distant galaxy, another being may already be asking the same questions we ask now, gazing into their sky and wondering if they are alone. The cosmic connection assures us that we are part of a continuum, a vast unfolding in which matter becomes life and life becomes awareness. Our story is not separate from the universe's story. It is a chapter within it, and future chapters are being written even now. To feel this connection deeply is to see the world differently. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. A glass of water is not just a drink. It is hydrogen from the dawn of the universe bound with oxygen made in stars. The dust on your windowsill may contain grains older than the sun, remnants of interstellar clouds. The breath you exhale carries carbon that will someday return to the earth, to plants, to oceans, perhaps even to other worlds. Every moment of your life is a continuation of cosmic processes set in motion billions of years ago. You are in essence a living expression of galaxies, and your existence is the universe celebrating its own creativity. There is a humility in this realization, but also a dignity. Humility because we are not the center of the universe, but one small part of a vast and indifferent cosmos. Dignity because we are made of the same elements as the stars, and through us the universe has gained a voice. To understand the cosmic connection to humanity is to embrace both truths at once. That we are small and yet significant, fleeting and yet eternal, fragile and yet woven into the very fabric of existence. So when you next step outside on a quiet night, look up and remember, the stars you see are not distant strangers. They are family. They are the forges of your being, the storytellers of your history, the sparks of your existence. You do not merely live under the stars, you are of the stars. You are the cosmos looking back at itself, reflecting on its own beauty and asking, with wonder and hope, what will we become next? When we confront the immensity of the universe, when we let the reality of trillions of galaxies and billions of years seep into our imagination, something extraordinary happens to us. We are humbled. Not humbled in a way that diminishes us, but in a way that reorients our perspective, reshaping how we see ourselves, our lives, and our world. Humility of perspective is one of the greatest gifts the universe offers to those who dare to contemplate it. It is the recognition that we are small, that we are fragile, that we are not the center of all things, yet, paradoxically, it is also the recognition that this very smallness connects us to something vast, eternal, and magnificent. To feel humbled by the cosmos is to awaken to a truth that can transform the way we live. Picture for a moment the famous image known as the pale blue dot. Taken in 1990 by the Voyager 1 spacecraft from a distance of nearly 3.7 billion miles, it shows Earth as a tiny speck, less than a pixel in size, suspended in a beam of scattered sunlight. Everything we have ever known, every person, every love, every war, every song, every triumph, fits within that single dot. When Carl Sagan reflected on this image, he reminded us that our imagined self-importance dissolves when viewed from such a distance. The picture forces humility upon us. We are a small world, orbiting a small star in an ordinary galaxy, in a universe so immense that our existence seems fleeting and fragile. And yet, it is precisely in that smallness that we find perspective. Humility of perspective arises when we realize that much of what we consider monumental is, in fact, tiny in the grand scheme. Nations, borders, conflicts, and egos, all of them occupy such a narrow corner of reality that they vanish when viewed against the backdrop of galaxies. The universe does not know our politics. It does not favor one language over another. It does not recognize our wealth, our possessions, or our pride. All the things that divide us are invisible at the scale of stars. This realization humbles us, showing us how trivial our quarrels can be, how foolish our arrogance, and how small our time-bound obsessions appear when measured against eternity. But humility does not mean despair. It is not an invitation to dismiss our lives as meaningless. On the contrary, humility of perspective allows us to see the profound significance of our existence in a new light. For even if Earth is a speck, it is a speck alive with consciousness. Even if our lifespans are brief compared to cosmic time, they are long enough to love, to create, to wonder, to dream. Humility teaches us that meaning does not require being vast. Meaning requires being real. And in the brief flash of time we are given, we are real, we are alive, and we matter to one another. Consider how humility of perspective has shaped human history. The early astronomers who dared to suggest that Earth was not the center of the universe were ridiculed, resisted, even persecuted. But their revelations forced us to step down from a pedestal of illusion. The Copernican revolution humbled humanity, reminding us that we orbit the sun, not the other way around. Later, the discoveries of modern astronomy humbled us further, showing that the sun is not the center of the galaxy, that the galaxy is not the center of the universe, and that the universe itself is expanding, carrying galaxies away into the deep unknown. Each revelation stripped away another layer of self-centeredness, teaching us again and again that humility is not defeat, but freedom, the freedom to see truth more clearly. Humility of perspective also deepens when we reflect on time. The Earth has existed for 5 billion years. Human beings in their current form have walked this planet for only about 300,000 years. Recorded history spans barely 5,000 years. Against billions of years, our entire story is a blink. This is humbling, but it also places our lives in a broader context. It reminds us that our era is one chapter in a long book, that we are temporary stewards of a world far older than ourselves. It encourages us to act with responsibility, knowing that future generations too will inherit the earth. Humility teaches us that our actions ripple forward in time, shaping the destiny of lives we will never meet. There is also a deeply personal dimension to this humility. When you stand beneath the night sky and realize that your worries, your frustrations, your anxieties are happening on one small planet in an ocean of galaxies, something shifts within you. The problem that felt overwhelming suddenly seems lighter. The stress that consumed you is put into perspective. Humility teaches us that while our struggles are real and valid, they are not the entirety of existence. We are allowed to let go, to breathe, to remember that we are part of something far greater. The universe whispers, yes, your burdens matter, but they are not the whole story. There is more, always more, beyond this moment. Humility of perspective is not just philosophical, it is practical. It can change how we treat one another. When we remember that we are all passengers on the same small planet, drifting through the same vast cosmos, it becomes harder to justify hatred, division, or indifference. The differences that loom so large in daily life shrink against the scale of the stars. Whether you are rich or poor, powerful or powerless, famous or forgotten, you share the same sky as everyone else. You are made of the same stardust, you drink the same water that cycles through Earth's oceans, you breathe the same oxygen that was forged in ancient stars. Humility teaches us equality, reminding us that no one stands above the cosmic laws that govern us all. This humility is also a source of wonder. When we admit how little we know, how small our perspective is compared to the whole, we open ourselves to discovery. A proud mind believes it already understands everything. A humble mind is curious, eager, and open to being surprised. The universe is full of mysteries, dark matter, dark energy, black holes, quantum entanglement, that we barely begin to understand. Humility allows us to marvel, to ask questions, to admit that we are children in a vast and ancient library, still learning to read the first few pages. Without humility, curiosity dies. With humility, curiosity thrives. Humility of perspective also guards against despair. Some fear that recognizing our smallness diminishes our worth, that if we are insignificant compared to galaxies, then life has no meaning. But humility offers a different answer. Meaning is not measured in size or scale. A flower blooming for a single day has meaning. A note in a symphony has meaning. A human life, though brief, carries infinite value in the lives it touches. To recognize our smallness is not to erase meaning, but to recognize that meaning is something we create, something we live, something we give to one another. Humility shifts us from seeking grandeur to appreciating presence. It teaches us to find wonder in a sunrise, joy in a laugh, peace in a quiet moment. These are small things, but in them lies greatness. The humility of perspective is also a source of resilience. When we face loss, failure, or hardship, the cosmos reminds us that nothing is permanent. Stars die, galaxies collide, planets change. Yet from death comes rebirth, from collapse comes new creation. Our lives, too, follow cycles of loss and renewal. Humility teaches us to accept change as part of the pattern, to endure with grace, and to trust that even in endings there are beginnings waiting to emerge. The stars themselves assure us that from the ashes of one life, new light can be born. There is a quiet strength in humility. It does not boast, it does not demand recognition, it does not need to prove itself. It simply is. When we stand before the universe in awe, we are stripped of arrogance. We do not command the galaxies, but neither are we exiled from them. We belong. Humility teaches us that belonging does not require dominance. We are not lords of the cosmos, but children of it, siblings to the stars, participants in its unfolding. This is a gentler, more honest kind of belonging, one rooted in gratitude, not control. Humility of perspective also invites reverence. To look at a galaxy, to contemplate billions of stars, is to feel reverence for existence itself. We may not know why the universe exists, why it chose to become conscious through us, why it is filled with such beauty and danger, but we can revere it, honor it, and protect the small part of it entrusted to us, our Earth. Humility teaches us stewardship. It reminds us that this world is not our possession, but our gift, a fragile oasis in a vast desert of space. To live humbly is to live responsibly, to care for the planet, to respect its life, to ensure that future generations inherit its beauty. Perhaps the greatest lesson of humility is love. When we see ourselves as small, we realize how much we need one another. We realize that our strength is not in standing above others, but in standing with them. The cosmos humbles us into community. It reminds us that the only way to face the vastness of existence is together. Love becomes not just an emotion, but a way of survival, a way of being in harmony with the reality that we are finite, fragile, and yet infinitely capable of caring. So when you stand beneath the night sky, do not shrink from your smallness, embrace it. Let the stars humble you, not into despair, but into wonder. Let the galaxies remind you that you are not the center, but you are a part, and that part is enough. Let humility soften your pride, quiet your fears, and open your heart to the truth that life is both brief and beautiful. In humility, we find perspective. In perspective, we find peace. And in peace, we find the courage to live with love, curiosity, and awe, knowing that while we may be small in the universe is vast within us. When we contemplate the universe, when we let our imagination drift across its galaxies and stars, we begin to sense something profound unity. The unity of existence is not simply a poetic thought, but a reality written into the very fabric of the cosmos. It is the recognition that, despite the diversity of forms, the variety of galaxies, the unimaginable distances between them, everything shares a common origin and is bound together by the same laws. This unity speaks to us not only as observers of the cosmos, but as participants within it. It reshapes how we see one another, how we treat our planet, and how we understand our place in the whole. Consider the origins of the universe. Nearly 14 billion years ago, there was a moment we call the Big Bang, though the name itself can be misleading. It was not an explosion into space, but an expansion of space itself, carrying with it energy, matter, and the seeds of all that would come. From that singular beginning, every galaxy, every star, every planet, and every atom in your body arose. When we trace the history of existence, we find that all paths lead back to that one origin. This means that the Andromeda Galaxy, our Milky Way, the distant galaxies we can barely glimpse through telescopes, and even the empty voids between them are all part of the same unfolding story. Unity is not an abstract idea, it is a fact of cosmology. From that singular origin, the universe diversified. Clouds of hydrogen collapsed into stars, stars ignited, burned, and died, scattering heavier elements across space. New stars formed, surrounded by planets, moons, and possibilities. Each galaxy became a vast ecosystem of birth, death, and renewal. And yet, though each system is unique, all share the same building blocks. The calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood. These are not separate from the universe. They are the universe. They were forged in the hearts of long, dead stars. To exist is to carry within you a fragment of cosmic history. The unity of existence is not merely philosophical, it is literally within us. This unity becomes clearer when we look at the fundamental laws of physics, whether in a spiral galaxy a billion light years away or here on Earth, the same laws apply. Gravity pulls, light travels at a constant speed, energy and matter follow the same principles. There is no special set of rules for us and another for distant galaxies. The universe is consistent, orderly, and universal in its laws. That consistency is itself a unifying force, reminding us that we belong to one system, not many disconnected ones. And yet, humanity often forgets this. We divide ourselves into nations, religions, languages, and tribes. We wage wars over borders invisible from space. We act as though our small differences separate us from one another. But the night sky tells a different story. From the perspective of the cosmos, there is no division. The air you breathe today may carry molecules once breathed by someone across the world. The water you drink has cycled through countless lives, from ancient creatures to modern humanity. The stardust in your body is the same as in mine, the same as in every person who has ever lived. When we see this truth, the illusion of separation begins to fade. The unity of existence extends beyond humanity. It encompasses all life. Every creature that walks, swims, or flies on this planet shares the same DNA code, the same chemical heritage, the same planetary home. A tree is not separate from us, but part of the same web of existence. It exhales the oxygen we inhale. We, in turn, release carbon dioxide that nourishes its growth. This cycle is not accidental. It is unity expressed through biology. When we harm nature, we harm ourselves. When we care for it, we care for our shared life. The unity of existence is also visible in the great cycles of the Earth, the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle. These are not isolated processes, but global circulations that connect every living thing. The rain that falls on a mountain may eventually reach the sea, evaporate, form clouds, and fall again across an entirely different land. A single drop of water may travel the planet for millennia, touching countless lives along the way. To recognize this is to recognize that nothing truly belongs to us alone. Everything is shared, everything is connected, but the unity of existence is not just scientific, it is spiritual. Across cultures and ages, humanity has intuited that we are part of something greater than ourselves. Ancient myths often spoke of cosmic oneness, of all beings emerging from a single source. Philosophers and mystics described life as an interconnected whole, where separateness is an illusion. Modern science, rather than contradicting this, affirms it. The language may differ: atoms, energy, stardust, but the message is the same. You are not separate. You belong to the whole. This unity can transform how we live. When we realize that others are not them, but part of the same fabric as us, compassion becomes more natural. The pain of another is not distant but connected to our own. The joy of another enriches our shared existence. Unity calls us to empathy, to kindness, to solidarity. Imagine if humanity truly embraced this vision. Wars would seem absurd, greed would lose its appeal, exploitation would give way to cooperation. The divisions we cling to would dissolve under the weight of cosmic truth. Unity also gives us responsibility. If we are part of one existence, then how we act matters not only to ourselves but to the whole. The pollution we release, the violence we inflict, the indifference we show, these are not isolated acts. They ripple outward, touching lives and ecosystems far beyond our immediate sight. Conversely, our kindness, our creativity, our efforts to protect the planet ripple outward too. Every action, however small, is part of the greater whole. Unity reminds us that nothing is wasted, that everything we do contributes to the story of existence. This recognition can be both sobering and inspiring. It is sobering because it confronts us with responsibility we cannot escape. We cannot say, "This does not affect me," because in a unified existence, everything eventually does. But it is inspiring because it shows us that our actions, no matter how small, matter. To plant a tree, to speak a kind word, to ease someone's suffering, these are not trivial acts. They are contributions to the harmony of the whole. Unity transforms even the smallest gestures into cosmic significance. Unity also reshapes how we see death. In a divided world view, death feels like an absolute end, a falling away into nothingness. But in a unified existence, death is a transformation, a return to the whole. The atoms of our bodies do not vanish, they scatter, rejoining the cycles of Earth and cosmos. The energy of our being is not destroyed, it changes form, continuing in ways we may not understand. This does not erase grief, but it offers perspective. We are not lost, but returned, recycled, reborn in countless forms. Death becomes not a rupture, but a continuation of unity. Even our quest to explore the stars is shaped by this unity. When we send probes into space, when we dream of reaching other planets, we are not escaping Earth, but extending its story. Our curiosity is the universe's curiosity expressed through us. If one day humanity travels to other galaxies, it will not be as outsiders entering foreign realms, but as members of the same cosmic family returning to distant relatives. Every galaxy is already part of us because we all began together. Exploration is not invasion, it is reunion. The unity of existence also brings humility. To know that we are part of something so vast strips away arrogance. No one life, no one nation, no one species is the center of all things. And yet, this humility does not diminish us, it elevates us. To be part of the whole is greater than to stand alone. To belong to the universe is more magnificent than to rule a small corner of it. Unity teaches us that our greatness lies not in separation, but in connection. And perhaps most beautifully, unity gives us meaning, for what is life if not relationship? We are defined not by what we own, but by what we share. Love itself is the deepest expression of unity, the recognition that another's existence enriches our own. When we love, we dissolve the boundary between me and you. We experience directly what the cosmos has been teaching all along, that separateness is an illusion and unity is the truth. Love, then, is not just a human emotion, but a reflection of cosmic reality. It is existence recognizing itself in another. So when you gaze at the stars, remember this: you are not looking at strangers in the sky, you are looking at kin. The light reaching your eyes has traveled millions of years, but it is light born of the same origin that gave birth to you. You are not apart from it, you are of it. The galaxies are not distant in essence, only in space. In truth, you are already flying through them, for their dust flows in your veins, their energy powers your cells, their history is your history. The unity of existence is not a distant ideal. It is here now in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every connection we make. To recognize it is to live more fully, more gently, more wisely. To ignore it is to live in illusion. The choice is ours. Do we continue to cling to divisions, or do we embrace the truth that we are one? The cosmos has already answered. From the first expansion of space, from the birth of stars, from the cycles of matter and energy, the universe has been saying the same thing: all is one. It is time we listened. When we speak of the future of exploration, we are not simply imagining machines traveling into the void or astronauts planting flags on distant worlds. We are speaking of something far greater, something that reaches into the core of what it means to be human. Exploration is not merely a project of technology, it is a project of spirit. It is the manifestation of our restless curiosity, our refusal to be confined, our drive to know, to discover, to go further than those before us. The future of exploration is the future of humanity itself, because to stop exploring is to stop growing, to stop imagining, and to stop becoming more than we are. From the earliest moments of our history, this drive has been with us. Our ancestors gazed at the stars long before they built cities. They crossed deserts, rivers, and oceans, not knowing what lay beyond. They looked at the horizon and felt compelled to move toward it, even when danger awaited. The same impulse that drove nomads to cross continents, sailors to chart new waters, and inventors to build machines that could fly, is the impulse that now drives us to look to the planets and stars. Exploration is in our DNA, it is not optional, it is who we are, and yet, the exploration of space is not like crossing a river or even an ocean. It is an undertaking so vast, so difficult, that it requires the collaboration of generations, the courage of visionaries, and the persistence of dreamers who may never live to see the fruits of their work. This is what makes the future of exploration both daunting and magnificent. It forces us to think not just of ourselves, but of humanity as a whole. When we imagine traveling to Mars, colonizing distant worlds, or even reaching other galaxies, we are imagining futures that stretch far beyond our own lifetimes. Exploration becomes an act of faith in humanity's tomorrow. Right now, we stand at the threshold. For the first time in history, we possess the tools to leave our planet and stay gone. Rockets can deliver satellites, telescopes can peer across billions of light years, and probes can cross the solar system. We have touched the moon, sent rovers to Mars, and sent spacecraft to the very edge of the sun's influence. These are the first footsteps of a much longer journey, the beginning of a story whose climax lies far in the future. Just as the first canoe across a river hinted at ships that would one day cross oceans, so too do these missions hint at futures we can barely imagine. The future of exploration will begin with the familiar, our solar system. The moon, so close and so visible, will likely become humanity's first true outpost in space. Imagine bases carved into its dust, greenhouses growing food beneath protective domes, laboratories studying the cosmos without Earth's atmosphere in the way. The moon will teach us how to live beyond Earth, how to build, how to survive, and how to cooperate in environments that offer no mercy. From there, Mars awaits, the planet most like our own, a world that once had rivers and seas, a world that may yet harbor the remnants of life. To step onto Mars will not just be an achievement of engineering, it will be a symbolic moment in which humanity becomes a multi-planetary species no longer bound to one fragile world, but the future of exploration does not stop at planets. It extends to the asteroids, to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, to the outer edges of the solar system where comets slumber. Each of these bodies offers resources, mysteries, and potential futures. Asteroids may hold the metals needed to build civilizations among the stars. Europa and Enceladus, with their hidden oceans, may hold life, teaching us that we are not alone even in our own neighborhood. Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud stretch outward into the dark, bridging the gap between our system and the interstellar beyond. To explore these is to prepare ourselves for the next leap, the leap between stars. That leap will be the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced. The distances between stars are not measured in miles but in light. Years, with the closest stars still thousands of times farther than any probe has yet traveled. At our current pace, it would take tens of thousands of years to reach even the nearest star, but exploration has always been about turning impossibilities into realities. Fire once seemed unreachable, flight once seemed absurd, crossing oceans once seemed fatal. What seems impossible today may be the foundation of tomorrow. Technologies we are only beginning to dream of: fusion drives, antimatter engines, solar sails propelled by lasers, perhaps even bending space itself, may one day carry us across interstellar space. And when that day comes, it will not be the dream of one nation, but of humanity as a whole. The future of exploration is not only technological, it is also philosophical. When we leave Earth, we will carry with us not just tools but values. What kind of explorers will we be? Will we repeat the mistakes of conquest and colonization, exploiting without care, dividing without compassion? Or will we learn from the cosmos itself, which shows us that unity is stronger than division, that diversity is the source of beauty, that cooperation is necessary for survival? The future of exploration requires us to grow not just in knowledge, but in wisdom. If we spread into the stars with arrogance, we will fail. If we spread with humility, responsibility, and wonder, we may thrive. And then there is the question that burns at the heart of our curiosity: are we alone? The universe is too vast, too rich, too filled with stars and planets for us to assume that life exists only here. To explore the cosmos is to search for others, for voices beyond our own, for intelligence that may have arisen in distant galaxies long before us. Imagine the day when we hear a signal from another civilization or step onto a world where alien life thrives. That discovery would not just change science, it would change what it means to be human. It would remind us that we are part of a far larger community of existence, one that stretches across time and space. The future of exploration is also tied to survival. Earth is our home, but it is not eternal. Asteroids, climate change, nuclear war, or the distant eventual death of the sun all remind us that life on Earth is fragile. To explore, to settle other worlds, is to give humanity a chance at continuity, to ensure that our story does not end prematurely. It is not about abandoning Earth, but about extending life beyond it, making our species resilient against the forces of chance. Exploration is not only a dream, it is a safeguard. Yet survival alone cannot be our only reason. The future of exploration is also about wonder, about beauty, about the sheer joy of discovery. To stand on another planet and watch its sunrise, to float above the rings of Saturn, to sail on the methane seas of Titan. These are experiences that transcend survival. They feed the soul, reminding us that life is not only about enduring, but about experiencing, not only about continuing, but about marveling. Exploration is art as much as science, poetry as much as engineering. It is humanity's way of falling in love with the universe again and again. As we imagine this future, we must also remember that it begins with us, here and now. The seeds of tomorrow are planted in the choices we make today, the investments in science, the inspiration we give to young minds, the values we cultivate. A child looking at the stars today may be the explorer who steps onto Mars tomorrow, or the scientist who discovers how to reach another star. The future of exploration depends not only on rockets and ships, but on imagination, education, and the courage to dream. And so we return to the vision of flying through every galaxy in our observable universe. Will we ever achieve it? Perhaps not in the literal sense, for the distances are beyond comprehension. But exploration is not only about reaching the ultimate destination. It is about the journey, the striving, the daring to attempt what others call impossible. Every step outward, every probe, every telescope, every astronaut is part of that journey. Even if we never cross every galaxy, the attempt itself will have transformed us, expanded us, unified us, and connected us more deeply with the cosmos. The future of exploration is a story with no final chapter. It is a story that began when humanity first looked upward in wonder, that continues as we send machines into the dark, and that will unfold for generations yet unborn. To imagine it is to recognize that we are part of a continuum larger than ourselves, that our brief lives are threads woven into a fabric that spans millennia. We will not see the end, but we can help write the beginning. So let us dream boldly, let us build bravely, let us step outward into the unknown, carrying with us not only the tools of science, but the light of curiosity, the strength of unity, and the wisdom of humility. For the future of exploration is not simply about where we will go, it is about who we will become. And as we become explorers among the stars, we will also become more fully human, creatures of wonder, courage, and imagination, forever reaching, forever discovering, forever flying toward the infinite.